Welcome to the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast on the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game by talking through and dissecting game film and diving deeper to explain why the X's zig and the O's zag. I am Adam Marino, joined by Mr. Johnny Dell, and we are reminding you, as always, the most fun way to watch is on YouTube, where we go live. There you can comment into the live show. Be sure to hit the notification bell and turn on your notifications so you can be a part of the conversation. We also stream live on Facebook and X. Also, the audio versions are always found on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, if you are live with us in the chat, it's probably because you are subscribed, you've hit the notification bell, and turned those notifications on. So, when sharing with your friends, be sure to let them know. We also love to hear from you outside of our live show. Email us at johnnydellsfootballacademy@gmail.com, and you can always check out the website jfa49.com, as it is the most fun way to support the channel. Also, the way we boost the chat and boost the algorithm is to type out hashtag JD49. Oh, yeah, I'm feeling right at home on the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast on the channel that's breaking down the whys and hows of the game, because I am at home, because I am with fellow idiot from Sports Idiot Nation, the titan of idiots, as you may say. It is Mr. T.I. Titans Idiot. We welcome him in for the first time, popping his cherry on the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast. I'm stoked because both you guys are my buddies, and one of you is way off in your sports fandom and one of you is right on, and it's good to have you guys together. We have been together before on the Sports Idiot Nation podcast. Johnny has been on many a time. I lost track of how many times, and there was one episode in particular where he broke down
How did
film.
you lose track of twice?
No, it's more than twice. You broke down film.
I'm pretty sure. And no. I did the team of the team of the decade.
And there was another one. I thought there was one other one.
Nope.
See, I don't. Well, when you've done 160 or so, and we just did one this morning. But I'm very excited. We're going to talk Niners Titans. I'm going to introduce T.I. and with a story real quick. So the story of Titans Idiot, which I've told you guys this before on this show, that a funny follow, even if you're not a Titans fan, is of course Titans Idiot Nation on Facebook, 36,000 followers. And here's the story of how he got started, and I'll let him kind of talk a little bit, because I think this is genius, because Niners have these fans too. So there are those fans that call in to KNBR or whatever station, and it's a little different when you got the country twang down in Tennessee, but you get them
terrible Tennessee accent.
Okay, just let it happen. Let it wash over you. Let it wash. So you get these Titan fans that call up, and daggum, you know what they need to do? They need to sign my cousin, because he was roommates with Cam Newton, and he washed his clothes before, and man, he could throw them ball over them mountains. That's what the Titans need to do, because then they wouldn't be 0-7, or they'd be 7-0. Dadgummit, I tell you this right now, that's what they need to be doing. So you
apparently T.I. is from Louisiana.
Yeah, that's my Brian Kelly. It's my Brian Kelly. All right, just would you let it happen?
Yeah. Apparently, I'm the water boy all of a sudden.
Bobby. So what happened was T.I., as a regular functioning human, took that and said, dude, this is hilarious. Let me just, for fun, make a video. Wakes up and it's viral, and Titans Idiot Nation is born. And it's been, I don't know how many years, T.I., you've been doing this.
Man, the page has only been in existence for about 6.5 years, but I was doing the same shtick on my regular Facebook until it started getting too big, and my wife was like, "Hey, let's cut this out. Like, figure out what you're doing. It's getting a little out of hand." So that's when I was like, "All right, well, I'm going to actually start a page." So the page itself is only about a little over 6 years old, but yeah, this is starting next season will be my 10th year of creating Titans content. So I'm hitting that decade milestone, you know.
And you can see it in your face as you have
Absolutely.
a warm
Well,
Titans fan.
when you're a Titans fan, you age pretty quickly. This season has aged me by like 5 years, man.
Like Kyle Shanahan. You look at Kyle
Yeah.
Shanahan's face.
But I mean, to piggyback what Adam said, without hijacking the whole episode, I'll be real quick. But yeah, basically, I was long story short, I was one day waiting to pick my son up from daycare. He was just recently born. I think he was 2 years old. You know, something that wasn't even in kindergarten yet. It was still preschool. And I'm listening to the radio. It was right after the Titans lost to the Dolphins week 1. It was the longest game in NFL history. It had like 5 lightning delays. They kept bringing them out as soon as they step on the field. It got delayed again. Nobody wanted to play. It was almost like in the end, it was like, just let them, let's just get out of here. And so, you know, next day, Titans fans calling the radio like we just lost the Super Bowl on a controversial call, and they're just like losing their minds. And yeah, so I was just like, oh God. And I listen to talk radio anyway. I love hearing those bozos call in, you know, and I mean that lightheartedly. I mean, a lot of them probably follow my page, but I mean, you know, you got to be have a couple screws loose to call into the radio consistently anyway.
And to be a Titans fan.
Yeah, and so I heard that, Adam, and I picked up my phone and started video and downloaded a video app and started, you know, splicing it together and just doing these calls. Was like, hey, this is Troy from Triune, and I just want to tell you, I don't think that this team even believes in their coaches. I don't think they even want to play, and just started doing calls like that. And yeah, as Adam said, I just kind of threw it on my regular Facebook, went to dinner, ran a couple errands, came back, and I mean, I think it had like 10,000 views or something, had all these comments from all these random strangers. And so I was like, that's kind of an idea. So I started doing that for a few weeks, and then I started creating characters, and then I started having the characters call each other on the radio and arguing. And you can only do that so long before you run out of content. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to start doing previews. Then I started doing recaps, and you know, you throw in the memes and everything else, and you know, lo and behold, it just starts to grow and boom. And then so a few years ago, on New Year's, I was like, hey, I'm gonna change it from Titans Idiot to Titans Idiot Nation. I'm gonna turn this into a full-blown media, you know, conglomerate. I'm going to give the names of the people. So I told them, I was like, hey, without you guys in the comments sharing, liking, like, I'm just an idiot making these dumb videos. So I'm giving this to you, and have built this family and built this community. And it's one of the hardest things to do on Facebook, especially when you're a small market team like the Titans, you know. So it's really just consistency, dedication, and just making people feel like they're part of something. And I never in a million years thought it would turn into what it's turned into today. But you know, when you have something that you're passionate about and you put your all into it, you know, only good things happen. And so here we are, you know. I mean, you can hop on Sports Idiot Nation and get a whole background. There's a whole episode we did about how it all started for those that are interested. But in a nutshell, man, it's just being stupid. I love making people laugh. I love being a class clown. I always was a class clown in high school. Like, to me, there's nothing better than making someone laugh. And we all can come together with sports, whether you love a team, hate a team. It's one of the few things that brings people together. You know, people argue over, you know, politics, religion, everything. But sports just brings everyone together, even your worst enemies, you know. So that's
I will say for the most part, except for 49ers fans, we have a lot of arguing among 49ers fans, pundits, and different reporters. I mean, we have straight up rivalries among some of the reporters and content creators we have. I will say, you know, I've always appreciated you have a great sense of humor, which you have to be. You have to have a great sense of humor to be a Titans fan.
Absolutely. It's been a nightmare, man. I mean, I was a day one, you know. Anytime, you know, as soon as we heard, you know, oh, we're getting hockey team, oh, we're getting NFL team, I mean, I'm just all about it, because, you know, I never in a million years thought Tennessee would have any professional sports team. So of course, you know, I was sitting 10 rows back in Music City Miracle. I was 21 years old, all my buddies. I had my Jeff Fisher's secretary was a regular of mine at the bar that I worked at, and so she got us friends and family tickets. We were pretending to be her cousins from out of town. We got to go in the tunnel afterwards, the locker room. Like, I was high-fiving Javon Curse and Eddie and Steve and all this. You know, Anthony Dorsett played for the Titans at the time, so Tony Dorsett was there. I was sharing the last of the buffet with Tony Dorsett, and I'm just like drunk out of my mind. I'm like, is this really happening right now? You know, because it was just crazy. And so once you experience something like that, you're just hooked, and it's been all downhill since.
So,
yeah.
So I do want to ask, I think as 49ers fans, some of us had a thought that when Rand Carthen was hired there in Tennessee, that Tennessee was about to take the path that Houston has and Miami had, where they started to transform into 49ers Southeast, 49ers Texas, that was going to materialize, and it really never did. And Rand Carthen's now gone. The franchise, I mean, Bill Callahan has been fired. There's been an incredible amount of turnover. I think as 49ers fans, as we're looking at this game, we're thinking, okay, this should be a lock of a win for the most part. And then we I think some of us got a little concerned watching the Titans put up 31 points against what after we all watched our team play the Browns, is one of the best defenses in the league.
Sure.
So is this a team? Do you see a team that is sitting there saying, we're just gonna try and compete, but we still want that number one overall pick? Or do you see this as a team that's trying to establish momentum and change their culture heading into the offseason?
Oh man, and well, to piggyback on top of that Browns performance, also the Seahawks too. I mean, they once they woke up, they put it to the Seahawks. So I mean, they have the possibility to rise up against anybody, but it just depends. Like a couple game scripts, couple game flows, couple calls. That's usually what it takes, for them. They're so young, they're so inexperienced, and obviously their coaching carousel has been ridiculous. So I don't think any team out there is actually clamoring for the number one pick. I don't think that they're trying to get it. Obviously, everybody wants it when they're bad. All the fans want them to tank and all that. I personally am a fan of watching my team win football games. Yes, I would like them to have the number one pick so they could trade it or overhaul and get some draft capital. Because what jury's out on Cam Ward, but they're clearly not going to take a quarterback. We know that. So my thing is, I think right now they're just playing for pride. I really do. I think that they are just, the media is crushing them. The fans are crushing them. I mean, go into Titans games, the 4 or 5 home games I've been to this season, it is empty. The tailgates are minimal, and the city feels that. Our economy relies a lot on the Titans downtown, especially during football season. A lot of people coming from out of town because Nashville's a destination spot. So, I mean, we still do well, but it's just not the same vibe. Even when we're having a mediocre season, not like a terrible season, it's still just a party in Nashville. And a lot of people have just turned their back on the team. And I think at this point, they're just playing for pride. I mean, I would love to say that they're striving for momentum, but I mean, let's look at the last 4 games we have. We have Niners, we have Saints, we have Jags, and we have Chiefs. I know the Chiefs are stumbling a little bit. Jags are still division, but Jags looks good. Saints just beat the Bucks. I know, Falcons beat the Bucks too, so it doesn't necessarily mean anything. And then it's like I was telling Adam this morning on the episode. I mean, let's just look at the personnel. Like we're looking at Run CMC, George Kittle, Juwan Jennings, Brock Purdy. I mean, even Ricky Parasol. I mean, we don't have one player of that caliber on our offense. I mean, let's be real. And so now that offense is going up against our defense, which is mediocre. And you did make the point about the Browns, which, hey, the Browns are number 2 defense in the league. Titans showed up. I mean, Cam Ward had 2 touchdowns, only had 117 yards, but I mean, that's been par for that young man this season. And a lot of even top tier quarterbacks hadn't fared too well against the Browns. So, there's promise there, but we are notorious for taking 2 steps forward and 20 steps back. So I would not be surprised to see us lose out. I mean, the sadomasochists in me with that. But if we were to win 2 out of them and wind up with the 5th pick or something, I mean, I'm not going to be mad because, like I said, at the end of the day, who really wants to watch their team lose? So, I can't necessarily say that they're playing for momentum more than they are playing for pride. But at this point, anything can happen. I mean, it's the movie is called Any Given Sunday for a reason. But I'm personally preparing for a bloodbath. I'm sure a lot of Niners fans are probably expecting it, but usually when you have those expectations, sometimes it winds up being one of those 17-14 games or 21-17 or something, So, I would never ever go on record and say that we have a chance to win the game, but just the way history.
But you never
does.
know.
Yeah, that's
But
what I'm getting at.
Yeah, that's what I want to get into. So I know that Johnny Dell has watched, against his will, probably he has watched some Titans games, as Ti mentioned before the show when we were chatting. Well, you could have just watched an
Somebody's got a
episode
gun
of
to
Looney
his head.
Tunes. Yeah,
Somebody's got a gun to his head. Watch it. Watch the Titans game.
All right, I will. I love my family. Yeah.
Yes, Cam Ward is great. Cam Ward is great.
So he did take the liberty of getting some footage locked in, and I want to see what your thoughts are, Ti, on what he has. Johnny, you have that pulled up, ready to go?
Yeah, so we'll have to kind of go rapid fire because I got a scouting report on Cam Ward. I got keys for the offense. I have keys for the defense and stuff. So we got about 27 minutes here. So first off, Cam Ward. Here's what I have on there: incredible arm talent, multiple exclamation marks. Can make all the throws on platform, off platform. Can have incredible accuracy, but lacks consistency due to footwork and lower body inconsistency. Understands where to have eyes through the plays. Doesn't tie footwork to route concepts. So one thing I saw over and over and over again was that he was getting the ball out early before the receivers were in the right spots. And it wasn't on the receivers. His depth of steps in his drop back were oftentimes too shallow. So like on a 5-step drop and one hitch, for example, his third, fourth, and fifth steps were too short. And so that was accelerating the drop back. And this is where there's a positive, is that his eyes aren't on the receiver. So he's dropping back, watching the defense, reading the defense, taking a hitch and throwing it to the landmark, which is good. That's an element that many quarterbacks struggle with and getting to. A lot of quarterbacks struggle with that. The problem was he was getting the ball there early. So sometimes he would throw and there'd be no receiver there. And so, I'm sure as Titans fans, you sit there and go, oh, good Lord, this guy is throwing it. Like there was a specific throw against the Texans where he's throwing it and it looks like it's almost a pick by Aziz Al-Shire, that's over the middle. And it was the right read. It was the right throw. He was about a quarter second too early on his drop back. So and this was a struggle in multiple different plays. And sometimes if he went to throw and the receiver wasn't there, then he would hold it. And then you get this footwork issue and he's trying to make an off platform throw. And sometimes he makes it, sometimes he doesn't. So there was an inconsistency in the drop back passing because of poor footwork tying to the route concepts of what he was looking at. I say he's a raw drop back passer. They're going to have an interesting, kind of inflection point with him this offseason, I think. When the new head coach, whoever it's going to be, comes in, do they continue trying to develop him as a drop back passer from under center? Or do they decide we're going to make this guy a 90% shotgun guy? Because that was one of the struggles that Marcus Mariota had always dealt with in his career. He was really a shotgun only guy, and eventually that caught up to them because there's fewer things you can do, especially in the run game, when you can only be in shotgun. And so they have that challenge ahead for Cam Ward is what I see. I say he's a scrambler, not a runner. When he scrambles and when he's avoiding sacks, he's looking to throw. There was a very clear example of this. It was against Seattle. He's getting pressure. He runs up in the pocket. He's got like 15 yards of grass between him and the nearest defender. And what does he do? He almost laterals the ball to Tony Pollard 5 yards away from him, who's at the same, like literally has the same amount of grass in front of him as Cam Ward does, but he's looking to outlet the ball. He's not looking to run. He's a scrambler, not a runner. He will always keep his eyes downfield. That makes him dangerous on the off schedules. He's going to be looking downfield to find a receiver somewhere. You see that over and over again, that when the pressure starts getting there, he's going to then look around and he's not just taking his eyes off the receivers to the rush. His eyes will stay downfield. So that is a positive attribute. There's a lot of good things I did like about Cam Ward. And so my defensive key for that was the defense must plaster. You have to plaster to your receivers because he will find somebody if you leave them uncovered. My last note was attack the ball. He struggles with ball security. He's got 9 fumbles on the year. Keeps that ball out there a little bit. He's going to hold it out. He doesn't keep it high and tight a lot. A lot of times it's kind of dangling out there. Jordan Love does the same thing. It's out there. The ball security is not great. It's fascinating that he's got 9 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 9 fumbles. That's a really wild stat, Mark.
It's real fascinating for Ti, I'm sure.
It's been sacked. He's been sacked more than any other quarterback in the league. I will say the arm talent. There was a throw, and I broke down some of the film yesterday with on the Gold Standard podcast with Rob. He made a layered throw to the sideline against cover 2 on a corner route against Houston. That was one of the best throws you're going to see all year long. He was sliding to his left. The receiver didn't get both feet into inbounds. You probably might remember the play. It was along the sideline. I can't remember, was it number 5, number 15? I remember there was a 5 on his jersey.
It's going to be Alec or DK. I mean, those are the only 2 guys he's throwing to outside of Gunnar Helm. I mean, we got journeyman Van Jefferson, and Calvin Ridley's out for the season. I mean, that's the thing. His main 3 weapons are 3 4th-round draft picks from this past draft.
one of my notes about him too is incredible arm talent, completely devoid of talent at receiver. So that's a big reason of why they're struggling throwing the ball. Now, you can't just play man coverage against them and say, well, they got these terrible receivers, we're just going to play man coverage all day, because he is very good at reading leverage, and he's got the latitude at the line of scrimmage to change the play. So if he sees that tight end's got hard inside leverage because you're just going to man up every time, or this guy's got hard outside leverage, he can change the play, and he's going to give his guy an advantageous leverage route. So you can't just line up against him and say, we're going to play man coverage. And I think that was what helped them against the Browns, is that the Browns kind of just said that. Like, we're just going to line up and play man coverage against you a lot. We don't believe that you can beat us. And, well, Jim Schwartz was wrong. He's not wrong very often, but he was in that moment. So I think there's a lot to like about Cam Ward. The struggle is going to be, and this has been like Justin Fields' problem since he came in. Can you develop the footwork to operate a timing-based offense? That's something that he is clear he hasn't had to do in the past. That's going to be the challenge going forward. So does that line up with what you've seen this year?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll even take it back to camp, like the few camp days I went. The first thing that stood out to me was the arm strength. And the zip on the pass. I was just, watching Brandon Allen and watching, they cut him before the season, whoever the third Tim, whatever, can't remember exactly who it was. Obviously there's a reason why they cut him, but they were both out there just, going through the motions, and Cam was just firing it. And so, there's things, a lot of people think that I'm out on Cam Ward, and it's just I'm a critical fan, and I'm always honest. And what I've said, what I like about him is, one, his arm strength. Like you said, he can make any throw. He can throw at the length of a football field. He's very strength. I mean, he's got, a lot of strength for, quarterback, especially
his lower body, like his leg strength is phenomenal. He's got really good base strength, so that helps him avoid even more sacks and then get out and scramble. It also is what allows him to kind of just stand and make throws from any platform. And again, there's some of them that it'll be like, oh my goodness, that is an absolute dime of a throw off platform. But then sometimes, because he's off platform, it's kind of like Caleb Williams. Because you have such great arm talent, he will sometimes be sloppy in that footwork, and he'll miss a 5-yard out route at the feet of the receiver.
Yeah, that's
on 3rd and 4. On 3rd and 4, now you're punting.
Yeah, I mean, that's been my main concern this season. What I said is that his footwork has been atrocious. His mechanics are off. I said, I know he didn't run a lot in Miami, but I'm not looking for him to run like Lamar Jackson. But it's just the point that you just made. He's got 15 yards in front of him, and he's looking to shovel it to Tony Pollard. That has been my argument all season. The 2 games where we started to turn a corner, against the Seahawks, and then the next game, it was him running. I mean, he led the league in those 2 games. He had more rushing yards than any quarterback in the league. And I'm not looking for him to be a Lamar Jackson, not even looking for him to run the ball like Jalen Hurts as much. I just need him to know that when the play's not there, either throw the damn ball away or tuck it and run and just extend the play. It's just, he sits back there, and I know when you think that you can make any pass and you have the arm strength to do it, you think that you can scramble around a little bit and wait for the play to open. But it's like you pointed out, if you don't have skilled wide receivers out there to get open, you've got players that are just now learning the ropes with all these rookies out on the field. That play is not going to materialize. So you've got to read it. You've got to know, like, okay, I need to get whatever I can here. I need to extend the play, or I need to throw it away before I take a sack, because or as you mentioned, his inability to hold on to the ball. I know his hands are a little smaller than most quarterbacks, but, I kind of went down a rabbit hole of him when I was seeing all these fumbles. And I just started researching in college, and I was like, found out that he has the NCAA record for the most fumbles ever by a quarterback in college. And I was just like,
it's more a ball security issue. Like, that's what I saw. It wasn't like he just can't hold on to the ball. He's not used to keeping that real tight to him. He's a loosey goose kind of player. And so there's a problem with that. I will say what is striking is that he does, while he's there, he struggles with the ball security from fumbles, he's actually really secure with the ball in passing. He's throwing about 32 passes a game, and he's only got 7 interceptions through.
Yeah,
his interception percentage is only at 2% for a rookie. That's really good. He's probably going to end the season with 10 or 11 with having to throw as much as they're asking him to throw.
Right.
That's really impressive. That shows that he is taking care of the ball. He's not seeing defenders right in front of him. I mean, that was Jordan Love's interception with the Packers and Bears. He literally threw it right to a hook defender he never even saw. Because a lot of times Jordan Love is watching the receivers. There's been this argument about pure progression versus key reads and sort of stuff from an X's and O's standpoint. Jordan Love is much more the pure progression passer. He's just going through progression, watching the receivers, and he sometimes just completely misses a hook player standing there. And I'm not seeing that same issue with Cam Ward. So that's there. I do want to move on because we only got about 15 minutes left. I will say my keys for the offense are eyes on the twos, that being number 20, Tony Pollard, and number 2, Tyjae Spears. I felt like those are the 2 most dangerous offensive weapons that the Titans have. Pollard, if you look at the season through the first 11 games, he was averaging 3.7 yards per carry. The last 2 weeks, he's been averaging over 6, and he had 6.2 yards per carry against the Browns. That was the best rushing performance they had all year. And some of that had to do with the elements. Some of that had to do with Cam Ward getting out there. Some of that had to do with playing a very man coverage team, and they were able to take advantage of that. So for me, I said you have to have eyes on the twos, 20 being Tony Pollard, and controlling the line of scrimmage will be key. Number 55, Latham, isn't it? The right tackle from Alabama. I think he's somebody who he doesn't know how to use his length. I saw multiple guys using long arms on him, condensing the edge. They try and run a lot of wide zone. They weren't able to extend the edges, and a lot of that was Latham not really controlling that there. And then 79, the center, he was a liability on a lot of runs. So I saw those 2 guys as favorable matchups for us against the run. Was 55 Latham, and then 79. Don't remember his name. I remember his number.
Corey Levin is filled in for Cushenberry. So it was originally used to be Cush, but Cush is hurt again. Surprise. So yeah, it's Corey Levin.
I want to say Cushenberry is 79. I want to say that's who it is. I remember I looked it up, and I remember it being a name that sounded like a berry. I said,
you can with Latham. I was going to say with Latham, you can go ahead and guarantee you'll get at least 1 or 2 false starts out of him.
Man, there was a massive amount of pre-snap penalties. I saw that over and over
For a
again.
top 10 pick is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I said Tyjae Spears is dynamic with the ball in his hands, but hesitant to stick his nose in the hole and will look to bounce. Be ready for the bounce. Read the head stripe. That would be a defensive key because he's very dynamic. I think I saw him as their best forced missed tackle guy with the ball in his hands. That he's somebody, if you could get him in space, he can force a lot of missed tackles. There was a specific play they ran like a bubble screen to him and against Seattle, and he broke like 5 tackles and gained like 7 yards. Completely reverse field at one point. He against the Texans, he forced several missed tackles in the flat against who else did I watch? Because I watched the Texans, I watched the Seahawks, and then who did you play? And it wasn't the Browns. I watched the other one.
Jacksonville.
Yes, Jacksonville. I watched the Jacksonville game. He forced a couple missed tackles in there. So he's more the receiving back. They bring him in on third downs. He does do some of the carries, but again, they don't love him in the run game as much because he won't just stick his nose in there and get 3 yards. He's always looking to make the big splash play, and so he's going to bounce the ball early. But you do need to rally around him because he is a dynamic talent with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, he's the most. I mean, Tony Pollard, I think, is, for even though he's a smaller guy, he's still our workhorse. But yeah, Tyjae Spears is definitely our most talented player on offense, just because he's fast. All he has to do is break a couple tackles, and he can get you chunk yardage. So yeah, I agree there. I've wanted more out of Tyjae Spears, but it just hadn't transpired. I liked him out of Tulane. He has shown some glimpse where he could be, used more in the running game, but you're right. He's always trying to hit that home run. He's always trying to bounce outside. I don't know if he has been hurt quite a bit. So I don't know if that's gotten in his head. I feel like sometimes when these players get hurt repeatedly, they try to find a different way to produce so they don't get hurt. And I kind of feel like that's the route Tyjae Spears went, but you're right. He's a very dynamic playmaker, and you cannot take him lightly because, he's just needs 1 or 2 broken tackles, and he can get you about 20, 30 yards and more, and often more than that.
And he's somebody that I think you're going to that they'll see just trying to get the ball in his hands in space so he can do that, because they don't have a lot of guys who can take advantage of space. I think when I looked at the receiving numbers, the top receiver you have has like 367 yards receiving and 96 yards yak. On 62 targets, I want to say was what it was. It was around there, 62, 63 targets. To put that in perspective, Kendrick Bourne, who has only played in about half of our games this year, has 167 yards of yards after the catch, and he has 1 fewer catch on 20 less targets. So, yeah. I mean, that just really puts it in perspective of where the Titans receiving core is, and that when their guys get the ball in their hands, they can't do much with it. And so there's not really this dynamic, explosive offense outside of Spears. And so you got to be alert for the bubble screens, got to be alert for the RPOs with him, got to be alert for him in the flats. Speaking of the RPOs, my thing was take away the RPO. They generate a lot of gimmies and conflict for Ward with the RPO game. I saw a lot of RPOs. Is that what you've been seeing most of the year?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I don't know if that's just kind of trying to cater to strength, or if that's just we've had the coaching carousel and different philosophies. I don't know, but that seems to be their MO. So we'll probably see more of that. It seems to be just the consistent style of the Titans play. It is what it is. I know we're all rookies on the team pretty much, but it's hasn't been too exciting as a fan to watch, for sure. Same consistency over and over, or rather inconsistency, more like it.
Yeah. I mean, when your guys can't win on the outside consistently, a lot of times you have to use the run game to put somebody in conflict. And if your offensive line isn't holding up enough on your play actions, then you've got to influence in some sort of way. And I think that leads to a lot of RPOs. So you've got to put a linebacker in conflict where you're not asking Cam Ward to hold the ball for 3 seconds while you're doing that and drive the ball downfield. You're going to do that in the short area, which is the RPO game, which for the 49ers, the key is going to be for that is what we've used in the past and what Saleh has used in the past to combat the RPO game is your safeties. Is we end up running a lot of cover 4. We're going to say we're going to basically have a converting quarters on the outside that will convert to man past 10 yards. so that your corners can essentially, you're going to say, I'm going to trust you to not lose on a post route, is what I'm going to ask the outside corners to do. I'm going to put you in cover 4, but you're not going to lose on the post route. I need you to match those so that my safeties can come down and my linebackers can still fill their gaps, and my safeties can account for the hook areas where they like to run those RPOs. So it's going to be a big challenge for Mustafa and Brown to tackle in space. Brown has struggled with that at times, but if you can do that, Mustafa is somebody that Ward's got to have his eyes alert for. He's going to come up and he'll throw a hospital ball if he's not careful, if he's doing that to Mustafa's side. I think he's going to be big on that. Getting to your defense. Sorry, I'm trying not to rush everybody on this. We got about 8 minutes.
Yeah. Keep going.
I said running up the middle will be a struggle, but must remain committed to it. 98, Jeffrey Simmons is an elite player against both the run and the pass, and Devondre Sweat is a massive roadblock in the middle. I mean, I remember going to the Senior Bowl, and we talked about Devondre Sweat when I was at the Senior Bowl, Adam. You probably remember.
Yeah.
That is one of the most massive human beings I've ever seen in my life.
We absolutely talked about it.
Meatloaf called himself Meatloaf.
You know? I mean, he's a load to move. I remember going there, and Jordan Jefferson, who the 49ers had earlier this year for a hot minute, defensive tackle at LSU, he was somebody I liked coming out with really violent hands. He's not really developed, but he was like 6'3", 320, I want to say.
Which is
and
not
I
small.
thought he was about 280 out there because he was standing next to Devondre Sweat, because that Sweat's that big. I mean, he looked like when you drive by a school and you see 6th graders out there with 4th graders, that's what he looked like with everybody
Texas,
else. I mean,
right? He's out of Texas.
Yeah, he was the defensive tackle out of Texas.
Absolutely. I remember that
so he's a massive human being in the middle. Is that what you've seen? Like those guys have been able to hold down the middle of the field?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes Arden Key shows up, sometimes he doesn't. I mean, he will sneak in there and get a sack. He will disrupt plays. I do like Arden Key a lot. He's just been a little inconsistent. But he's not afraid to speak his mind, which I like about it as well. But as far as like who to look out for, yeah, it's clearly Big Jeff and Devondre. I mean, Jeff is he's a half sack away from his career best. With 4 games to go, I've already been saying since about week 3, I was like, he's playing the best football of his career. I hate us being wasted on this team, or this season, not the team, but this season, of course. So you definitely have to watch out for him. I mean, ever since he slimmed down a little bit, he's just been a man amongst boys. And he's earned every bit of it.
On tape, like he just looked a little bit more slight of frame. So I was wondering if he could slim down. The thing I have on here about those 2 guys is that base offense for the 49ers with 21, 12, 13, and 22 personnel will be the favorable matchup because that puts Sebastian Joseph Day on the field. He was definitely the weak link. We know about him. He was with the 49ers last year when our defensive line was not doing well. We brought him over. He'd been with the Chargers before that SJD was the pursuit effort is not there. If you ran away from him, he'd be backside and he would not run down the line to condense those wide zone runs. That it wasn't he didn't condense anything. I saw the safeties was 23. Is that one of the safeties? I'm trying to remember because I didn't put it in my notes.
Well, you've got really on the outside, really all you got to really be concerned with is Kevin Winston Jr. and Daryl Baker. And again, both those guys are 2nd-year players. I mean, we're young all over the front, but those guys have really been the only ones really disrupting. Outside of that, it's just been like, hey, whoever you want to be open is open. Go ahead and just close your eyes and chuck it,
Yeah, so I pulled up the tape real quick just to see who the safety was. Yeah, it's 23. He's a safety. He had some just real poor run fits that I saw out there. Really hesitant against the run. I think you can hit them in the B gap and the C gap backside. Be alert for that with some insert blocks. Him and then the right corner, they were just not willing to tackle at all. So I think that's going to be something the 49ers do is they're going to say, we're going to challenge those guys to tackle in space. I think if you look to move the ball on the defense, that's going to be a really big favorable matchup. Sebastian Joseph Day, 23, the safety, and then the right corner. Those are the guys that I think as far as run defense are your weak links and that you can kind of lean into that area right there. And then last thing I saw is they're struggling generating pressure, consistent pressure along the board on third down, and so they love to blitz. There's a lot of pressure pass on third down. It's almost predictable. Like I saw so many teams sliding. They would present this front where they're overload. It looks like they're going to overload the right side, and then they love to try and overload the weak side. But they do it so predictably that it was like every team was already sliding to the weak side. And so they would bring 4 off that side and everybody would pick it up. Seattle did it.
Yeah.
Jacksonville did it. That everybody's seeing the keys. There's not a lot of creativity and newness on that defense. And so, and when they do that, their linebackers, especially Cody Barton, would gain too much depth on so many of his matching zones in these zone blitzes. So he's supposed to deliver routes at 8 to 10 yards, and he kept carrying them to 12 and 14. And so that left a ton of room underneath on third down. Like Seattle, Sam Darnold literally just checked down to his tight end who was on a chip and release on a 3rd and 9, and the guy got 14 yards because Cody Barton's carrying a seam route for 14 yards. And I saw this several times. Cody Barton is somebody that I think you can hit with verticals, and he's going to carry too deep, and you're going to get Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle underneath. And that's so in the passing game, that's what I would look at.
Yeah, I hate being this guy, but I feel like the only linebacker you have to worry about is Cedric Gray. He's great. He's phenomenal. I mean, he's second overall in the league in tackles. Loved him out of North Carolina. Was super excited when we drafted him. Loved seeing him coming into his own, and he's become, him and Big Jeff have become anchors of the defense. So, and Cody Barton has had his moments. He's had some moments where I'm like, okay, hey, it's turning point, and then he regresses, So yeah, as long as you avoid Cedric Gray, you shouldn't have any trouble getting run CMC any yards he wants. But that's just been the par for the course. He's a lot of missed tackles, constantly missed tackles. I've seen so many plays extended because of just easy tackles that should have happened, but
we know that feeling too.
Titans just aren't hitting them in the right spot, hitting them too low and letting them, do a little ankle, little jump or something. And next thing you know, they've got 10 more yards added to the play. But yeah, I mean, like I said, in the backfield, I mean, you just got to worry about Darrell Baker, Kevin Winston, Cedric Gray, and the linebacker. And then on the line, Simmons and Devondre. Everybody else is a crapshoot at that point. I mean, those are the guys playing hard on defense. But our defense is not as bad as it seems. There have been many games where the defense have kept them in the game, but
they're on the field too much.
Yeah,
I mean,
offense just can't get anything going. I mean, when you're averaging, I mean, the averages probably went up in the last 2 weeks, but when you're averaging 13 points a game, defense is doing too much.
So it's that time then for our predictions, because both you guys got to get out of here. One for some work, one for a field trip, I know. So I will kick things off with score predictions in the chat. Throw them out there. The chat was rocking in the middle of the show because it was all people from Sports Idiot Nation. So if there was some random comments that you guys were like, who are these people? Yeah, they're with us. We claim them. But I'm going to say, I'm going to say 27-9. I think the Titans get 3 field goals. I think that's realistic, but I do hope and want to keep them out of the end zone. That's what I'm hoping for. So that's what I'm going with. T.I., what do you say?
Oh man, I'm gonna say we get at least one touchdown, maybe a field goal. So I'm gonna say,
Fair.
I believe in the Niners, I do. So I'm gonna say that it's gonna be bad. I'm gonna say it's gonna be 31-10.
I'm not gonna go quite that bad. I'll say it's gonna be 24-10.
Okay, so we're all, but roughly it's still 2 scores. We do.
I mean, 49ers are favored by 12.5 points. So
right, and for a reason. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So, thank you so much to Titans Idiot Nation for hanging out. I know we got to get you guys out of here on this fantastic Friday. Hopefully, you guys make the playoffs real soon, buddy. That's like my dad voice. Like, it's all right. Get in there and try. Like, I don't know what else to say.
Won't be next year. Maybe with that new stadium, maybe the NFL will have pity on us and just somehow back into Cincinnati.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Philip Rivers keeps playing. Maybe he'll play when he's 50, and then the Colts will be bad. That gives you an opportunity. So, um, again, thanks for hanging. In the meantime, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, go Niners.